You know, I think we were looking at a number of interests that we had in common, and we wanted to have an overarching theme that was broad enough to allow us to explore and to have some flexibility, but that also was targeted enough that it's meaningful, that it is focused on rural and focused on communities.
And I think it reflects the real concern in both countries, by some people at any rate, as to what's going to happen to the rural areas. It's a global concern. Certainly in Japan it's a huge concern. And in the United States too. We have so much land in between the East Coast and the West Coast that a lot of people write off, but it's quite important country and culture. And I think it's a common concern that we want to keep that a strong part of our societies. And many of the students at our universities come from those places as well. So they too are very concerned with revitalizing those communities.
And it was really fascinating as we were sitting there in the mayor's office this morning and hearing the deputy mayor talk about the kind of the approaches that they're thinking about. And we're, you know, in our minds we're saying, well, those are the same approaches that we're trying, you know. The bioenergy, the tourism, the how do we sustain our cultural heritage, the out-migration of youth, the elderly health care. The situations may be really, really different, but she was expressing the same kinds of potential solutions that we hear discussed back in the States.
Well, I think there was a shared understanding that we're at a critical moment, perhaps, that if we continue along the trajectory of declining populations and the loss of intergenerational interactions, will there be a point from which we can't return? I know we often talk about who should the countryside belong to, and what should its use be, as maybe one of the deep underlying questions. And I think that that's what we'll be trying to help redefine as we try to revitalize.
Yeah, I think the students are really going to be challenged to think, what is the countryside good for? How do we want it to be shaped? Where do we want it to go? That's going to be really interesting.
And why should we care about it?
Yeah.
Who should care about it?
That's true.
Questions.